right, good morning everyone. Welcome to the Town of Easton's 2022 Purple Heart Day ceremony. Here with me, I have Commander Teresa Pedico-Poole of the American Legion Post 7. Also in attendance, we have State Senator Walter Timilty, State Representative Carol Doherty, Select Board Chair Dotte Fulginiti, Select Board Vice Chair Craig Barger, Town Administrator Connor Reed, and our guest of honor, Purple Heart recipient, U.S. Army retired Master Sergeant Kevin Burrill. Please stand and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Please welcome Pastor John Polk from the Holy Trinity Lutheran Church to lead us in a prayer.
Let us pray. God of strength and resilience, on this Purple Heart Day we celebrate the valor and bravery of those who love and serve our country today, and those who loved and served our country who will be remembered forever in our hearts. We remember the ones who risked their lives, those who returned to us, some healed, others healing, and those who sacrificed their lives, now abiding with the divine forever. God of broken bodies, fragile minds, and shattered souls, we pray for our sisters and brothers injured in a time of war or during a time of service. May their stories be lifted and spirits elevated. May the light of the divine be a balm to their injuries marked on their souls and hearts. May the winds of the Spirit build their resilience. May we, as your children, Holy One, advocate for their healing. Inspire us to see our place in the well-being of all of our neighbors, and especially today in the ones who are the wounded brave. In your holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Polk. Today, we're here to honor National Purple Heart Day. A few times each year, we as a nation formally pause to reflect upon and remember the sacrifices made by the brave men and women of our U.S. military. Today's the day that we honor those who have been awarded the Purple Heart. The Purple Heart Medal is a solemn distinction that is presented to service members who have been wounded or killed as a direct result of enemy action while serving in the U.S. military. It's also presented to the surviving family members of those killed in action. According to the National Purple Heart Hall of Honor, more than 1.8 million Purple Heart medals have been presented to service members since the award was created in 1782. In 2015, the town of Easton became a Purple Heart community. This simple but meaningful gesture solidified the pre-existing support and recognition that we have always had given to our veterans here in Easton, particularly our combat wounded. We're fortunate enough to have here with us today a number of local residents who have served our country, quite a few actually, and an even smaller handful who are Purple Heart recipients. Selfless heroes who have sacrificed themselves, mind and body, in the preservation of our freedom while serving in combat operations. Shortly, I'll introduce one of our Purple Heart recipients as a guest of honor so we can hear his experience firsthand. But first, please welcome Select Board Vice Chair Craig Barger to read the 2022 Purple Heart Day proclamation.
Good morning. Whereas the people of Easton have great admiration and utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have selflessly served their country and this community in the armed forces for the good of all, and whereas contributions and sacrifices of the men and women from Easton who served in harm's way in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedom and the way of life enjoyed by our citizens, And whereas citizens of our community have been killed in action while serving the armed forces and have been posthumously awarded the Purple Heart for their ultimate sacrifice. And whereas citizens of our community have been awarded the Purple Heart for their bodily sacrifice of being wounded in action while engaged in conflict. And whereas the Purple Heart is the oldest American military decoration in present use and was created as the badge of military merit on August 7, 1782 in Newburgh, New York by General George Washington. Initially, it was made of purple cloth shaped as a heart with the word merit sewn upon it. And whereas the heritage it represents is sacred to those who know the price paid to wear the Purple Heart. And whereas August 7th is nationally recognized as Purple Heart Appreciation Day. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed, we, the Easton Select Board, on behalf of the town of Easton, go on record to hereby proclaim Easton, Massachusetts, a Purple Heart town, honoring the service and sacrifice of our nation's men and women in uniform that were wounded or killed by the enemy while serving to protect the freedoms enjoyed by all Americans. Also, be it proclaimed, we, the town of Easton, will recognize August 7th annually as Purple Heart Day and urge the people and organizations of Easton to display the American flag as well as other public expressions of recognition of our Purple Heart recipients. Signed by Dotte Fulginiti, Chair, Mark Lamb, Select Board Member, Jennifer Stacy, Select Board Member, myself, Craig Barger, and Jamie Stebbins, Select Board Member. Thank you.
Please stand and face the flagpole as we raise the American flag along with the Purple Heart flag.
Present arms. Order arms. Place. Order arms.
Please remain standing and join me in a moment of silence to honor those Purple Heart recipients who are no longer with us and the family members they leave behind. Thank you. You may be seated. I would now like to introduce our honored guest, Kevin Burrill. Kevin D. Burrill, retired Master Sergeant, U.S. Army, served as an 11 Charlie Mortarman and 11 Zulu Senior Infantry Sergeant in the U.S. Army from 1993 until being medically retired as a Master Sergeant in 2009 as a result of being wounded in Afghanistan. He served in HHC Delta Company 3rd Battalion, 5th Cavalry Regiment, Germany for 3 years, where he deployed to the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia and Operation Joint Endeavor, Bosnia. 3 years in HHC 5th Battalion, 20th Infantry Regiment, Fort Lewis, Washington, with a deployment to Thailand for Operation Cobra Gold. And 3 years as a recruiter in the Des Moines Recruiting Battalion. His last 7 years were with Bravo Company in HHC 3rd Battalion, 325th Airborne Infantry Regiment, and HHC 2nd Battalion, 508th Parachute Infantry Regiment, with deployments to Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom 1 and 2, Operation Iraqi Freedom 2 and 3, and a deployment to Afghanistan for Operation Enduring Freedom 7. During the deployment to Afghanistan, Master Sergeant Burrill was wounded when his Humvee was blown up by an improvised explosive device. He was medevaced through Germany to Walter Reed Medical Center and finally back to Fort Bragg, where he underwent 2 years of recovery and was medically retired in 2009. His awards include the Purple Heart, Bronze Star, Iraqi Service Medal, Afghanistan Service Medal, Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, Airborne Badge, Ranger Tab, Jump Master, Expert Infantryman's Badge, Combat Infantryman's Badge, Gold Recruiter Badge with 3 Sapphire Stars, and is a Sergeant Audie Murphy Club inductee. Kevin currently resides in Middleborough, where he coaches youth football, basketball, and baseball. Kevin is also pursuing a degree in social work at Bridgewater State University. Being a former Vet Center client, Kevin's a big believer in the Vet Center system and its approach to helping veterans with PTSD, MST, and other mental health issues. He is currently working as the Veteran Outreach Program Specialist at the Brockton Vet Center. Kevin's a personal friend of mine. I always look forward to working together to help our veterans in need. We're grateful to have you here today, Kevin. Would you please come up and say a few words?
Thanks, Cory. So before I was going to start this, I was just going to tell a quick little story. I was on, you heard the initial deployment to Iraq back in 2003. We were in the invasion. So the 20-year anniversary of that's coming up next year. So anybody familiar with the 82nd Airborne, they do what they call All-America Week every year. Everybody gets together. It's a bunch of sports competitions. So we planned a reunion around that. And we were, I'm on the steering committee, and we were talking about the reunion, getting ready to just, what, you know, the sequence of events and what we're doing. They always do a big barbecue where the paratroopers get together with the former paratroopers and can, you know, eat and, you know, have a share of beer or whatever. And one of the guys on the steering committee said, yeah, when the paratroopers get together with the old timers, and he paused for a second, he goes, and that's us. I was like, well, it's been 20 years, man, so it's been a while, but you never really thought of ourselves like that. You know, I look back and those were the Vietnam veterans mostly that were coming around then, and it had been 20 years since Vietnam for them, you know, 20, 30 years. So that's us. But it's just kind of funny. So like Cory said, I was a platoon sergeant with the 2nd Battalion, 508th Infantry Regiment, 82nd Airborne, while serving in Afghanistan in 2007. On April 12th, we were conducting a search mission to find reported Taliban in a cave complex in the mountains in the Andar province. While en route to the start point of the mission, we received some intel from our battalion headquarters that a high-level Taliban commander was in the local village and that we were to investigate and, you know, try to find him. Up until this point, I had been through 5 deployments and, you know, basically had a false sense of security when it came to doing combat missions. 2 of those tours were in Iraq in the invasion in 03 and back again for the elections in 04. And having participated in many combat missions and never getting hurt, I had a lot of confidence in my platoon's ability. We definitely weren't complacent, just confident in our training and experience and each other. I spent a lot of time running a quick reaction force that whenever something went wrong on one of our fire bases or out, you know, outside the wire, people were running for cover, we were the ones running to wherever the danger was and whoever was firing at us, or if a unit was in contact anywhere in our district and needed assistance, we were the ones that helped out. Most of us had an attitude that they can't get me, and we always joked that the safest place to be when they were shooting at us was right in front of them. I was obviously wrong. As we drove through one small village and approached another, it was eerily quiet, which usually was a sign that something was up, the Taliban was in the area, that most people were hiding out, and likely something was going to happen. So we already knew that. I had just told my driver to ensure he was staying within the tracks of the vehicle in front of us, and for my gunner to scan his sector, and then the blast happened. So we basically ran over a buried pressure plate IED that was estimated at 4 to 5 anti-tank mines buried in the road. The blast hit the driver's side rear wheel, penetrated the passenger area of the Humvee, and basically disintegrated, blew off the whole back of the Humvee. The vehicle almost flipped. We landed on the front grille of the, the Humvee got blown up in the air. Landed on the front grille of the Humvee. Luckily, we went back onto the wheels and not on the roof. Although I don't remember much of that afterwards, my gunner told me I grabbed his pants and pulled him back into his vehicle. We used to do a ton of rollover drills, and that was just instinct, just pulling him back in as he was getting ejected, possibly saving his life. There were 4 of us on board of the vehicle at the time of the explosion. Everyone was wounded to one extent or the other, with the one who was riding in the back seat where the IED penetrated the cabin being KIA. The paratrooper was Staff Sergeant Casey Dean Combs. Nobody joins the military or goes on deployment to get a Purple Heart. At least nobody that I knew did. We used to joke about it. We'd call it the enemy marksmanship badge, or say you zigged when you should have zagged. It's just a way for us to get through the tough times and lighten the mood. Most people that have been wounded in combat and wear the Purple Heart, me included, will say that they don't wear it for themselves. We wear it for our brothers and sisters who earned it and didn't make it back. Men like Casey Combs, who were not only an amazing paratrooper, warrior, and a great friend of mine, but also had a family that lost their son, husband, father, and brother that day on that dusty road in Afghanistan in 2007. It's amazing how one incident in a remote part of Afghanistan that happened so long ago, but still feels like yesterday, can change the course of your life. I had already had over 16 years of service, so I was obviously staying the course for the 20 years or more that would have came, but all that changed in an instant. I refused medevac that day, even though I was wounded. I was wounded more severely than I knew. But I was also, we were out for revenge. We were looking for the people that set the IED. Losing one of your best friends and a great man that day, has a profound effect on you. Still affects us to this day. All my friends that I talked to, it all knew, and we're all affected to this day. And it was also out of duty to the men of my platoon to carry on the mission. I medevaced a few months later as my injuries progressively worsened, and I was no longer combat effective. I spent the next 2 years in treatment from Launch to Germany, Walter Reed Medical Center, and then a warrior transition unit at Fort Bragg until I was retired. So that was basically the end of the career. I came back here. I was in business for a while. My father ran a trucking company, as Cory said, with the vet center. The vet center, I tell people the vet center probably saved my life. I wasn't in a great place at the time. So when the opportunity came for me to work at a vet center, give back to my fellow veterans. That's why I do what I do now. Give back to my fellow veterans. Same with the pursuing degree in social work. Giving back to the fellow veterans, the veterans that helped me. There was veterans at the time at the vet center that helped me, and giving back to my fellow veterans. So that's basically the mission now, is give back and help our fellow veterans. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for being here today to selflessly share probably one of the most worst days of your life with a group of mostly strangers. I think, we need to have another round of applause to acknowledge that. It's so important. So each year I try to get a guest speaker to come and share their experience, and we go through the generations, and you hear the different experiences with each different war and conflict that our speakers share with you. It's so important to keep hearing these stories just to understand it's not about what you see in the movies or TV or what you think or read or on the news. It's these are real human experiences. And it's important, and being my office's mission to take care of these folks when they come home and try to set them up, this is the best way that we can continue to raise awareness, is by having these, real life people come and share their experience. So, Kevin, as a token of your appreciation to your service and sacrifice, a local small business, Shoveltown Flag Company, has graciously donated this beautiful handmade flag made out of reclaimed wood right here in Easton. So we want to give this to you. And at this time, I'd like to introduce our State Senator, Walter Timilty.
Thank you very much and good morning. Thank you, Cory, to Chair Fulginiti, Vice Chair Barger, our Select Board, Connor Reed, and Cory Ahonen, our VSO. Thank you very much for commemorating what is a most hallowed day on our national calendar, and that is Purple Heart Day. And to each and every one of our veterans here today, thank you for what you've done for us. You've protected us with your service, and today you honor us with your presence. And Kevin, you are the greatest emblem of the American serviceman and servicewoman for the sacrifices that you have made to protect us, and protect our liberties and our freedoms, not just here in the United States of America, but around the globe. And you and your colleagues and your fellow troopers did that in the 82nd Airborne, and I've often heard the 82nd referred to as the best of the best. And you're a great legacy of General James M. Gavin, and I know you know the history of the 82nd far better than I could ever hope to. But each and every one of our veterans, you all have wonderful histories and legacies from the outfits that you served with, the fleets you deployed with, the squadrons you served in. And you truly are a great American, Kevin. So with that, I offer this citation in the Massachusetts State Senate honoring you, Kevin. I know Representative Doherty has offered similar recognition. You are recorded in the Massachusetts State Senate records now. And if you would please come forward. Master Sergeant Burrill, I should say. Master Sergeant, forgive me. It states as follows: Commonwealth of Massachusetts State Senate, official citation. Be it known that the Massachusetts State Senate hereby extends its congratulations to our very own Purple Heart recipient, Master Sergeant Kevin Burrill, in recognition of your invaluable and dedicated service to our country, heroic I might add, through your service in the United States Army in the 82nd Airborne Division, and through your work as the Veterans Outreach Program Specialist in the Brockton Veterans Center. Thank you for what you do there. I used to serve as chair of the Veterans Affairs Committee, and I know full well the great work that our veteran centers do. And be it further known, the Massachusetts Senate extends its best wishes for continued success, Kevin, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to and a copy thereof transmitted by the clerk. Kevin, it's been signed by our Senate President, Karen E. Spilka, and offered by myself, one very proud State Senator, Walter F. Timilty. Master Sergeant, thank you for all you've done for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Timilty. Now I'd like to welcome State Rep Carol Doherty.
My glasses. Bear with me. Preparation is all, isn't it? So I am always very pleased to be able to come to Easton, a part of the 3rd Bristol District, which I represent, because I join friends here, people that I consider friends. So I'm very pleased to join with elected officials, with my colleague from the Senate, Senator Timilty, with our police and fire representatives here today, especially with you, community members, and more importantly, the veterans who are seated here today, and to be joined by Master Sergeant Burrill. Thank you so much for your service. Whenever I hear these stories, it brings home the bravery and courage of the people who have served in our behalf. We read about it in the papers. We commiserate with families who have or have lost members who have fought for us over the years and decades, but it doesn't become as real as it is until we hear stories that have been shared with us this morning. So I have always said that it is stories that bind us, that bring us together, that keep us connected, that we can take with us as we think about this particular event. What I'm about to say, briefly, is has been said by Cory, thank you, Cory, and others, but Purple Heart Day in Easton bears repeating. So again, in July of 2015, the Easton Board of Selectmen ratified a proclamation which was read by Select Person Barger, officially declaring Easton a Purple Heart community. The proclamation expresses the town's gratitude for the sacrifices of all members of the military, but in particular, those who have been awarded the Purple Heart after sustaining injuries or dying in combat. Among other things contained in the proclamation, Easton is on record honoring, and I quote, the service and sacrifice of our nation's men and women in uniform that were wounded or killed by the enemy while serving to protect the freedoms enjoyed by all Americans. At that time, the board declared August 7th as Purple Heart Day in the town, and since then, even during the pandemic, a ceremony has been held annually in remembrance of Purple Heart recipients. Purple Heart Day is the kind of day created for us to give back. It's a day for Americans to remember and honor men and women who bravely represented their country and were wounded or killed. The Purple Heart Medal is presented to these service members and is a solemn distinction, and it means a service member has greatly sacrificed themselves or paid the ultimate price while in the line of duty. These brave souls have been decorated with a Purple Heart in the name of the President of the United States. And this day is for remembering them and their sacrifice. Purple Heart Day is an important remembrance day because it recognizes again the sacrifice made by those who were willing to put their lives on the line for our country. Thank you again for inviting me, as always, to deliver remarks on this very important day for our veterans, for our Purple Heart recipients, and for this community. The opportunity to be in the company of such bravery is humbling, and I feel privileged to be here with you. Thank you to the veterans for your service. So I too have a citation from the State House for Master Sergeants over here. They all look the same. So this citation is presented by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the House of Representatives, and it reads, "Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Master Sergeant Kevin Burrill, United States Army, retired. In recognition of your 16 and a half years of selfless service to our nation, the entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all of your endeavors." Signed by Speaker of the House Ronald Mariano and myself, and when I sign it, is myself, State Representative Carol Doherty. I always forget to sign the proclamation, so here you are.
Thank you, Rep. Doherty. Now I'd like to welcome our Easton Select Board Chair, Dotte Fulginiti.
Hello, everyone. I want to first start by thanking Cory for always remembering to keep our veterans as a priority and to have events like this every year, and to thank the community to see some of the same faces that come out year after year to honor our veterans. It's so important. To hear these stories is just so hard to imagine, and it's really quite emotional sometimes to think and put yourself in that position of not only putting yourself in danger to sacrifice for your people that you are with, for us at home that don't even realize half of what's going on when people serve, and also for the family and the people that love you, that worry about you while you're gone and are grateful for you to come back. To hear the stories that when a lot of these people come back and they're suffering their own challenges, we hear so many times that they're giving back not only to the community but to their fellow veterans, and that's really just talk about the ultimate commitment to service. So I'm really grateful that you are back and what you're doing, and also for your family, for your sacrifice, and thank you so much, Master Sergeant.
Thank you, Dotte. And thank you all again. This is a great crowd here. This is what we like to see, people coming out to support and attend these types of ceremonies. And I thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us to honor that sacrifice that we've spoken about here today. And let's also make a priority to remember the family members and the surviving spouses and the surviving children and the sacrifice they've made. So we have a couple of surviving family members in the crowd today. If we could just have a round of applause for them, please. Now, our other Purple Heart recipients here in the crowd, we have Tom Botello behind me here. And standing right next to him, Jim Duggan. And I recently found out, standing 2 spots away from him, Richard O'Connor. And I'm sure there's one of you lurking out there in the back. I can't see everybody, so I apologize if I miss anybody. But feel free to go shake these gentlemen's hands and hear a little bit about what they might have to share with you. I'd like to give a special thank you to the Easton DPW for providing a wonderful setup for this event. They always come through. Special thank you to Easton nonprofit Path to Healing for providing water and coffee for us here today. Carrie Ann Wagner right behind. I see some Dunkin' Donuts bags. Please go check her out and hear the wonderful things that Path to Healing is doing to help veterans find relief from trauma and their past trauma from serving in the military. I'd also like to thank ECAP for being here to film and set up sound equipment for the ceremony. And a final thank you to Easton Police and Fire and all who support the work that we do here in Easton to care for our military and veterans families. So grateful for their service, and we're grateful for your support. This concludes the Purple Heart Day ceremony.